welcome back to Science with Sam. I hope you all had a great summer, and now we're starting with our first one of the year in September. Right, now this Science with Sam is going to be coming out September 2nd, and you can pick up the kits in the Alton Square Kids space at the desk. It's first come, first serve, so come quick if you want to make sure you get one. And now for the big reveal, what are we making and what are we learning about? We are learning how to make bouncy balls. Now this one's actually a little bit smaller than what you will be making, but the science behind a bouncy ball is super interesting and cool, and afterwards you can have fun with it. I made a couple of different little ones, so don't worry about that one, but they bounce, and now you'll learn how to make them. So first, what we start with is a half a cup of hot water. And so what I do is I put water in a tea kettle to get it boiling, so it's extra hot, and then I pour it into my measuring cup, which is glass, so just remember that. So glass will not melt with hot water, but if you have a different type of measuring cup, it might melt, so you want to be extra careful. So we're going to have hot water. Oops, I measured that wrong. We're going to have hot water. We're going to have borax powder that we're going to mix with the hot water. And then in a different cup, we're going to mix school glue and glow-in-the-dark paint, because our bouncy balls are going to be glow-in-the-dark. And then we're going to use cornstarch added later to help form the ball. So first, we will add our half cup of hot water to this bowl. Okay. Next, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of borax powder. And then we're going to mix really well until it dissolves. What that means is you won't be able to tell the difference between the powder and the water because it will combine together and it'll all be mixed together. I'm spilling a little bit of water, so just make sure you're ready to clean up if you get any water anywhere, but otherwise, just going to stir and stir and stir and get that all mixed together. And you'll kind of see that it's a little difficult to see, but you'll see the powder slowly disappearing into the water and combining. We're going to mix it as well as we can get it in there. And we'll set that aside, which is good because it's hot and we want it to cool down. We don't want to burn our hands when we do what we do later. So that's going to go over here. Next, we are going to make our ball solution out of glue and paint. So what you'll need is 2 tablespoons of white glue. Now I'm going to give it to you all measured out in a container, but for now I'm just going to show you what it looks like when it's not measured out. 1 tablespoon. And 2 tablespoons. Whoop. Right. Now I can set that aside. Next, we need 2 teaspoons of glow-in-the-dark acrylic paint. Now, you guys will get yours separated into a cup, but for now I'm going to squirt it out of the bottle. And I chose pink for this one. And you'll also have these plastic cups in your bag to use. Next, I'm going to stir it around, and I'm giving you a popsicle stick to do it with. So you'll just stir the glue and paint, get it all mixed up so it's all colorful and cool. Alright, so we had white, we had pink paint, and now we've got our goop. That's going to make the bouncy ball. So stir it up. Alright, And next, we are going to set this aside for a second, and we're going to add our cornstarch to the water and borax bowl. So get our cornstarch out. We just need 1 tablespoon of that. So I'm going to pause and walk away for 1 second so I can get my tablespoon clean. We've got our tablespoon clean, so I'm going to get 1 tablespoon of the cornstarch. I'm going to put it in our solution, and now we're going to stir that really well so it's all mixed in. We want to mix it really good because you'll notice the cornstarch is a little chunky and it wants to stay together, but just mix it well enough and we're good to go. Alright, so this is the fun part and the messy part, so be ready. We're going to put our glue and paint mixture in this mixture, and you're going to notice it stick together and glob, and it's going to become a hard glob, which is what we're going to work with our hands. So the important part to making the bouncy ball is working with it and kneading it and smushing it and rolling it so that it becomes nice and bounceable. Let's pour that glue in. Okay, and all together. Alright, it's in there, and you just swish it around. You start kneading it and getting it all mixed in the mixture. So we're just squishing it around. And you're going to do this to remove any bubbles and to make sure it is mixed really thoroughly. You don't want any bubbles in your ball. Alright, now I've got it all kind of mixed together. I've got all the bubbles out. Now I'm going to take it out of the water, and we're going to have to squish it around a lot, back and forth, in a ball to make it into the shape we want to be and to make it hard. You'll see it's still a bit squishy. Well, that'll go away. It's just going to take some time. So, while I'm doing this, I'm going to explain the science. So when the glue was added to the borax water, the glue became firm and bouncy. That's because the borax reacted with the glue, causing the polymers, that's the word we're going to use here, or long chains of molecules in the glue to stick together and form an elastomer. An elastomer is something that's elastic and it bounces. So, smushing still, so we're still going. It's getting drier and it's getting firmer as we go. So we're going to keep going. So, to understand how polymers act, think about how cooked spaghetti behaves. Have you ever seen spaghetti? When it's fresh, it's kind of slippery and wet, and it kind of flows more like a liquid, slipping and sliding and going everywhere. But if you let that spaghetti dry out, you let a few minutes pass, you'll notice that the water kind of dries off and sticks together. And then it kind of becomes a big glob. And it's like, well, that's a little bit rubbery. I don't know. I mean, a little bit more difficult to separate all the spaghetti strands. If you leave it really long, it will stick together and the spaghetti will be one big rubbery chunk that bounces. That's right, your spaghetti would bounce if you just leave it sitting there. No sauce, no cheese, none of the delicious meatballs, just spaghetti all dried up, one big rubbery bouncy. So, polymers are like that. They're like long strands of molecules, and they behave like the spaghetti. So, if the molecules slide past each other, it acts like a liquid, like we saw at first when I took it out of here. Now, if they stick together, then it becomes rubbery and solid like an elastomer, like the bouncy ball. So, when the glue mixture was added to the borax acted as a cross-linker, hooking the glue's molecules together to form this rubbery, bouncy ball. So here we are, we're starting to get the ball shape. The cornstarch is added to help bind all of that together, and the ball will hold its shape better if you have the cornstarch. The ball can bounce because of all of these things, all of the cross-linked polymers, all of the stickiness together and the hardness. And since it's flexible, when the ball hits the ground, it's going to momentarily deform or squish, and then it will bounce back into its shape. So that is the explanation of an elastomer. It bounces, it'll squish, and it'll bound back, and that's what makes it bounce. So, we've got a ball here. Let's see if it bounces. All right. Oof. Nervous. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay. I'm going to move the ball aside. That's the ball. You can see how I squished it between hand and rolled it. And let's see if it bounces. Yay! We've got a bouncy ball. So the secret to this is the more you work with it, the more you bounce it, the more you play with it, the more you roll it around, the better bouncy ball it becomes. So at first you might be a little disappointed, like, Sam, that didn't go very high. But the more you work with it, the higher and better it will get. As you can see, even now from working with it and talking to you, it's gotten only more bouncy and bouncy and bouncy until you get what I showed you at the beginning of the video, a very dried out, very bouncy, very plasticky ball. So, if that makes sense, and I hope it does, I hope you had a fun time with me and that you learned a lot about bouncy balls, and now you have a little toy to play with. Thank you for joining me once again. I'll see you next month for Science with Sam. Bye.